What if the deadliest war in human history began with a story? What if it began with a lie? What if it began before the first shot was fired? World War II changed everything. It reshaped nations. It transformed societies. It altered the course of history. Millions would die. Cities would burn. Empires would collapse. The world would never be the same. Most people associate the war with battles and invasions. They think of tanks. They think of aircraft. They think of soldiers. But every war has an origin. Every conflict has a beginning. Every catastrophe starts somewhere. The beginning of World War II was rooted in earlier events. To understand 1939, we must look backward. The First World War ended in 1918. The fighting stopped. The suffering did not. Europe remained wounded. Economies struggled. Political tensions persisted. Many nations faced uncertainty. Germany faced especially difficult circumstances. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh conditions. Territory was lost. Military power was restricted. Financial burdens increased. Many Germans felt humiliated. Many Germans felt betrayed. Many Germans felt desperate. Economic crises worsened conditions. Inflation devastated savings. Jobs disappeared. Poverty spread. Public frustration grew. In times of hardship, people search for solutions. They search for hope. They search for leadership. Sometimes they find it. Sometimes they find something else. Into this environment stepped Adolf Hitler. He presented himself as a savior. He promised national revival. He promised restored pride. He promised a stronger future. His message resonated with many. Support increased steadily. Political influence expanded. Power became concentrated. Germany began changing rapidly. Military restrictions were ignored. Armed forces expanded. Weapons production increased. Confidence returned. So did ambition. The international community watched carefully. Some leaders expressed concern. Others hoped compromise remained possible. Many wanted to avoid another war. The memory of World War I remained painfully fresh, yet tensions continued rising. Germany pursued territorial expansion. Austria was annexed. Parts of Czechoslovakia followed. Each success strengthened confidence. Each success encouraged further action. Opposition remained limited. Consequences remained manageable. The pattern became dangerous. A belief began forming. A belief that risks carried little cost. A belief that bold moves would succeed. A belief that Europe would not resist. Soon, another target appeared on the horizon. That target was Poland. And the path toward war was becoming impossible to avoid. By 1939, Europe stood dangerously close to war. Tensions filled the continent. Diplomacy weakened. Trust eroded. Poland became the focal point. Its position was strategic. Its independence mattered greatly. Its future carried enormous consequences. Germany wanted territory. Germany wanted influence. Germany wanted expansion. Poland stood in the way. Military preparations accelerated. Political rhetoric intensified. Public expectations shifted. The atmosphere became increasingly volatile. Yet there was a problem. Launching an invasion required justification. It required a narrative. It required a reason, at least publicly. Leaders often understand that perception matters. Public opinion matters. International opinion matters. Stories matter. A war appears different when presented as defense rather than aggression. This reality influenced decisions. A plan emerged. A plan that would become infamous. A plan involving deception. A plan involving propaganda. One event became central. The Gleiwitz incident. The name is not widely known today, but its significance remains important. The operation occurred near the German-Polish border. Its purpose was strategic. Its purpose was political. Its purpose was symbolic. According to historical evidence, individuals connected to Nazi Germany staged an attack. The objective was simple: create the appearance of Polish aggression, create confusion, create justification, create a story. The radio station became the stage. The operation became the performance. The message became the script. The audience became the world. Events unfolded quickly. Information spread rapidly. Claims circulated. Accusations followed. Many people heard only fragments. Many people lacked context. Many people accepted official explanations. That uncertainty proved useful. Propaganda thrives in confusion. Propaganda thrives in fear. Propaganda thrives in urgency. The narrative served its purpose. Whether everyone believed it was almost irrelevant. What mattered was that it existed. What mattered was that it could be repeated. What mattered was that it could be cited. Political leaders used it. Media outlets reported it. Supporters amplified it. Critics struggled to respond. The machinery of war was already in motion. The incident alone did not cause the conflict. The decision for war had deeper roots, but the event provided cover. The event provided symbolism. The event provided justification. Soon, the waiting would end. The speeches would end. The planning would end. The deception would end. The next chapter would be written by tanks, aircraft, and invading armies. And once that chapter began, the entire world would feel its consequences. September 1st, 1939. The waiting ended. The planning ended. The invasion began. German forces crossed into Poland. The attack was massive. The attack was coordinated. The attack was relentless. Military strategy had evolved. Technology had evolved. Warfare had evolved. The world was about to witness it. Germany employed speed. Germany employed surprise. Germany employed concentration of force. The approach shocked observers. Tanks moved quickly. Aircraft struck key targets. Communication centers were attacked. Defensive positions were challenged. The campaign unfolded rapidly. The term Blitzkrieg would later become famous. The phrase means lightning war. The description was appropriate. The offensive moved with remarkable speed. Polish forces resisted. Polish soldiers fought bravely. Polish commanders responded. Polish citizens endured hardship. The situation remained difficult. The imbalance was severe. Germany possessed significant advantages. Preparation favored the attackers. Momentum favored the attackers. Numbers often favored the attackers. Yet resistance continued. Determination remained strong. Courage remained visible. Hope remained alive, even under immense pressure. The invasion affected civilians immediately. Families faced uncertainty. Communities faced danger. Entire towns faced destruction. Normal life disappeared. Fear spread quickly. The sound of war became impossible to ignore. Aircraft roared overhead. Explosions shattered silence. Smoke filled the horizon. The consequences became real. Political disputes had become human suffering. Strategic objectives had become personal tragedies. Military maps had become shattered homes. The transformation was devastating. News traveled across Europe. Governments monitored developments closely. Diplomats exchanged messages. Leaders evaluated options. The crisis deepened. Britain had made commitments. France had made commitments. Poland had allies. Those alliances now mattered. Promises faced a test. Words faced a test. Credibility faced a test. The international order faced a test. Time was running out. Germany continued advancing. Polish defenses faced enormous strain. The battlefield expanded. Casualties increased. The world watched anxiously. Could diplomacy still succeed? Could negotiations still help? Could the conflict be contained? The answers became increasingly clear. The invasion represented more than a regional dispute. It represented a challenge to the balance of power in Europe. Many leaders recognized this reality. Many feared the consequences. Many remembered 1914. They remembered how quickly a crisis could become a catastrophe. Their fears proved justified. The attack on Poland was not an isolated event. It was the beginning of something much larger, something global, something devastating, something that would reshape history. And within days, two major powers would make a decision that transformed a European conflict into a world war. The invasion of Poland shocked Europe, but shock alone changes nothing. Decisions change history, and decisions were coming. Britain faced a choice. France faced a choice. The stakes were enormous. The consequences were unknown. For years, many leaders had hoped to avoid war. The memory of World War I haunted an entire generation. Millions had died. Millions more had suffered. No one wanted a repeat. Yet avoiding conflict sometimes encourages greater danger. This dilemma confronted Europe. Germany had crossed a line. Treaties had been challenged. Promises had been tested. Credibility was at stake. Diplomatic pressure continued briefly. Ultimatums were delivered. Warnings were issued. Demands were made. The invasion continued. Time expired. The responses followed. On September 3, 1939, Britain declared war on Germany. Soon afterward, France did the same. The significance was immense. a regional invasion, had become an international conflict. The war was expanding. Radio broadcasts carried the news. Citizens listened carefully. Many feared what would come next. Many already suspected the answer. The atmosphere changed overnight. Uncertainty remained, but denial disappeared. Europe was at war. Mobilization accelerated. Military units assembled. Equipment was distributed. Plans were activated. Governments prepared for a long struggle. Families felt the impact immediately. Parents worried about children. Children worried about parents. Spouses faced separation. Communities faced disruption. The consequences spread quickly. The battlefield was not the only victim. Daily life changed. Economies adjusted. Industries transformed. Societies reorganized. The scale of preparation revealed the seriousness of the situation. Many hoped the conflict would end quickly. Many hoped diplomacy might still find a solution. History had other plans. Months passed. The conflict continued. Military operations expanded. Political alliances hardened. The war grew larger. Poland fought bravely, yet the pressure intensified. Germany advanced from the west. Then another development occurred. The Soviet Union moved from the east. Poland found itself trapped. The situation became desperate. Resistance continued, but geography offered little mercy. The nation faced overwhelming force. The tragedy unfolded rapidly. For Poland, the consequences were immediate. For the world, the consequences were only beginning. The conflict would spread further. Additional countries would join. Additional armies would mobilize. Additional battles would erupt. Entire continents would become involved. The term World War was becoming increasingly accurate. The violence would reach oceans. The violence would reach deserts. The violence would reach cities. The violence would reach ordinary people everywhere. What began with political ambition was transforming into global catastrophe. And yet, the most disturbing realization was not how the war expanded. The most disturbing realization was how long the foundations had been forming beneath the surface. Most history books identify September 1st, 1939, as the beginning of World War II. The date is important. The date is accurate. The invasion of Poland marked the opening of the conflict. Yet history is rarely that simple. Events do not appear from nowhere. Crises do not emerge overnight. Wars do not materialize instantly. They develop gradually. They grow quietly. They gather momentum. The visible explosion often hides a much longer process. World War II followed that pattern. Its roots extended backward, far backward. The invasion was a trigger. It was not the entire cause. The First World War left deep scars. Political scars remained. Economic scars remained. Psychological scars remained. Many societies struggled to recover. Many leaders struggled to adapt. Many citizens struggled to hope. The Treaty of Versailles became a source of controversy. Some viewed it as necessary, others viewed it as excessive. The debate persisted. Economic instability worsened tensions. Financial crises fueled uncertainty. Uncertainty fueled anger. Anger fueled radical movements. The cycle intensified. Political extremism gained support. Propaganda gained influence. Fear gained influence. Resentment gained influence. These forces shaped decisions. They shaped elections. They shaped policies. They shaped national identities. Long before tanks crossed borders, ideas were already moving. Long before bombs exploded, narratives were already spreading. Long before soldiers marched, public opinion was already changing. This is the hidden beginning. Wars are fought with weapons, but they often start with beliefs. They start with assumptions. They start with grievances. They start with stories. Some stories unite people. Some stories divide them. Some stories inspire hope. Some stories justify destruction. The most dangerous stories convince people that violence is necessary, that compromise is weakness, that opponents are enemies, that conflict is inevitable. When enough people believe those ideas, the path toward war widens. Political leaders make choices. Citizens make choices. Institutions make choices. The consequences accumulate. Eventually, a moment arrives. A border is crossed. A shot is fired. A declaration is made. History records the date. Yet the real beginning may lie years earlier. That realization carries an important lesson. The greatest threats often develop slowly. They develop quietly. They develop unnoticed. By the time they become obvious, Reversing them becomes difficult. World War II teaches many lessons. It teaches the cost of hatred. It teaches the danger of unchecked ambition. It teaches the power of propaganda. It teaches the importance of vigilance. But perhaps its most important lesson is also its most uncomfortable. The deadliest war in human history did not begin when the first tank crossed into Poland. It began when resentment was allowed to grow. It began when lies became persuasive. It began when fear became political currency. It began when too many people stopped questioning dangerous ideas. And by the time the shooting started, the fire had already been burning for years.